Every person has experienced moments where life seems to move in circles, where the same struggles, disappointments, or fears repeat themselves over and over. These negative cycles can affect every area of life, your relationships, your career, your health, and even your sense of self-worth. The truth is, no one is meant to be trapped in these cycles forever. There is a divine principle that when you intentionally confront these patterns with faith, prayer, and determination, the chains that bind you can be broken. It begins with the recognition that these cycles are not permanent and that you have authority over them through the power of God. A negative cycle may have been reinforced by habit, fear, or past failures, but it does not define your future. It does not determine your destiny. Every repetition, every setback is an opportunity for God to demonstrate His power in your life. When you make the conscious decision to rise above the pattern, you are exercising the first step of freedom. Breaking a negative cycle is not passive. It is an active, intentional act. It requires spiritual vigilance and a commitment to refuse old patterns. Prayer becomes the tool of transformation, not just a routine of words, but a declaration of authority over every destructive influence. When you pray with faith, you are inviting God to intervene in situations that seemed unchangeable. Faith is not merely believing that things can change. It is acting in alignment with the expectation that change will come because God is at work. In this process, you also need to confront your own mind. Many negative cycles are perpetuated by thought patterns that tell you, you cannot, you will fail, or this is just the way it is. These thoughts must be replaced with truth, affirmation, and declarations of life. When you speak over yourself, your family, and your circumstances with faith-filled words, you disrupt the cycle and begin to create a new trajectory. Persistence is key. Breaking free from a negative cycle rarely happens overnight. There will be moments of resistance, moments when the old patterns try to pull you back in, but each time you confront these moments with prayer, each time you choose faith over fear, you reinforce the new path God is establishing for you. Even when the situation seems unchanged, the spiritual shift is occurring, preparing you for breakthrough. Remember that negative cycles often serve as training grounds for resilience, strength, and deeper reliance on God. What looks like repetition is often preparation, equipping you to handle the favor and blessings that lie ahead. The act of breaking a cycle also requires forgiveness of yourself and of others, because holding on to bitterness, resentment, or regret perpetuates the negative pattern. When you release what binds you emotionally and spiritually, you create space for divine intervention. You allow God's power to fill the void left by the old, destructive patterns. Ultimately, the breaking of a negative cycle is not just about removing something harmful. It is about stepping into a new life of purpose, freedom, and divine alignment. With intentional prayer, faith, and action, you can rise above every limitation and experience the fullness of God's promises in your life. ChatGPT said words are powerful. They carry the ability to shape reality, influence outcomes, and release unseen forces into your life. When you begin your day with declarations of faith and speak life over your circumstances, you are not merely uttering empty phrases, You are aligning yourself with the supernatural power of God. Every word you speak has weight, and when spoken in faith, it can disrupt the strongholds that have held you captive. It is easy to underestimate the power of words, but the truth is, what you say can either chain you to your past or propel you toward what the destiny God has prepared for you. Speaking life is not about ignoring reality or pretending challenges do not exist. It is about acknowledging those challenges while simultaneously affirming the higher truth that God's favor, provision, and breakthrough are active in your life. Declarations are not limited to a casual, "I hope things get better." They are intentional, faith-filled statements that claim God's promises over your life. When you declare victory, peace, favor, and provision, you are actively participating in the transformation of your circumstances. Your words carry the authority to shape your mindset, influence your decisions, and create momentum for action. Negative words, on the other hand, reinforce cycles of fear, doubt, and limitation. When you speak defeat, you are essentially giving life to the very things you do not want. But when you speak truth aligned with God's word, you release the power to overcome, to heal, and to prosper. Prayer becomes a crucial vehicle for these declarations. When you pray, you are not only speaking to God, but also declaring His promises over your life. Each statement of faith, each utterance of hope is a spiritual tool that activates the unseen. Prayer is where your words meet divine authority and where heaven begins to move on your behalf. It is through prayer that what was once impossible begins to take shape. But it is not just the spoken word, it is the belief behind it. Your words must be backed by faith, expectation, and alignment with God's will. Empty words without faith cannot carry the supernatural impact that God intends for you. Daily declarations also transform your mind. Negative thought patterns have a way of repeating themselves until confronted with truth. When you intentionally speak life over yourself, your family, your finances, and your future, you are rewiring your mind and reshaping your reality. The words you speak in the morning set the tone for your day, influencing your decisions, your actions, and even the way opportunities present themselves. Speaking life is an act of authority, a declaration that you will no longer be bound by fear, doubt, or limitation. It is a spiritual habit that builds momentum, reinforces faith, and creates an atmosphere where favor and blessings can flow. Ultimately, the power of words and declarations lies in their ability to connect your faith with divine action. When you speak life, you are not waiting passively for circumstances to change. You are participating in the transformation process. You are setting into motion a chain of spiritual events that open doors, shift situations, and invite God's favor to work on your behalf. Speaking life is both a discipline and a weapon. It is the bridge between your present reality and the destiny that God has planned for you. And it is a practice that, when done consistently, breaks negative cycles and unlocks the favor you were created to receive. Life has a way of testing our patience and challenging our resolve. Every setback, every delay, and every moment of disappointment is not meant to defeat you, but to prepare you. Many people view obstacles as roadblocks, but in God's economy, These challenges are opportunities to equip you for the favor that is already on its way. Replacement is the key, replacing frustration, discouragement, and despair with purpose, faith, and determination. When you encounter difficulties, it is easy to become consumed by the problem itself. But those who rise above understand that obstacles are not permanent. They are temporary stations on the journey to divine destiny. Each struggle is a lesson, each delay a period of preparation, and each disappointment a shaping force designed to align you with God's plan. The power to overcome comes not from avoiding challenges, but from using them as stepping stones toward the life you were called to live. Purpose must replace limitation. When setbacks come, they often threaten to make you feel insignificant, overlooked, or powerless. But God has a way of turning every delay into an opportunity to build character, resilience, and clarity of vision. You must train yourself to look beyond the surface of difficulty and see the divine design beneath. Every challenge contains within it a seed of potential favor and opportunity waiting for you to cultivate it with faith, perseverance, and prayer. The obstacles you face are often the very things that prepare you for the breakthrough that is coming. While you may not understand the reasons in the moment, your trust in God's timing allows you to navigate through adversity with confidence. The process of replacing obstacles with purpose requires intentionality. You must choose to focus on what God is building in you rather than the temporary setbacks around you. Your mindset becomes the battleground where the unseen is engaged. If your thoughts dwell on fear, regret, or failure, then negative cycles will continue to dominate your life. But when your mind is filled with vision, expectation, and faith, you begin to see doors open that others cannot see. The way you respond to challenges determines the trajectory of your future. Choosing purpose over frustration creates alignment with divine favor and positions you to receive the blessings that have been prepared for you. Every delay has a design. Even when progress seems slow or invisible, God is working behind the scenes to orchestrate the circumstances of your life in your favor. What appears as a setback may actually be a setup for a greater opportunity. By embracing this perspective, you break the hold of discouragement and replace it with hope and anticipation. The act of replacing obstacles with purpose is a spiritual discipline. It requires faith, patience, and persistence. When you shift your focus from what is going wrong to what God is orchestrating, you transform the very challenges that once held you back into catalysts for growth, strength, and divine alignment. What once seemed like a dead end becomes a launching pad. What once appeared as a delay becomes the perfect timing for favor to manifest. And as you consistently choose purpose over obstacles, you will discover that God's hand is not just present in your breakthrough, but in every step of preparation that leads you there. Favor is more than luck. It is the supernatural hand of God moving in your life, opening doors that no one else can open, arranging opportunities that exceed human expectation, and orchestrating connections that align perfectly with your purpose. Divine favor is not accidental. It is a response to faith, obedience, and alignment with God's will. When you understand the nature of favor, you realize that it is both protective and empowering. It shields you from the consequences of mistakes you might have made, guides you through challenges, and positions you for breakthroughs that seem impossible from a human perspective. Favor is the invisible force that accelerates your journey and positions you to receive blessings that could not be earned by effort alone. Favor operates in many ways. It creates unexpected provision, introduces the right people at the right time, and opens doors that were previously closed. Sometimes favor is subtle, a quiet influence that nudges circumstances into alignment. Other times it is unmistakable, an undeniable breakthrough that changes the course of your life. The key to accessing favor is understanding that it is not limited by human logic or timing. While the world relies on planning, strategy, and resources, divine favor transcends those limitations. It moves in ways that cannot be predicted, ensuring that the outcome surpasses what you could accomplish on your own. Faith is the conduit through which favor flows. When you trust God's plan and take steps of obedience, you create an environment where favor can operate freely. God's favor is attracted to those who demonstrate humility, perseverance, and a heart aligned with His purposes. It is not earned by talent or intellect alone, nor is it guaranteed by mere effort. Favor responds to a spiritual posture that seeks God first, maintains integrity, and remains steadfast even in uncertainty. By positioning yourself in faith and obedience, you invite divine influence into every aspect of your life, relationships, career, finances, and personal growth. Understanding the role of favor also requires patience. It often arrives in its own perfect timing after preparation and after the cycles of testing have accomplished their purpose. Favor does not bypass character, rather it complements it. The delays, challenges, and setbacks you experience are not indicators that favor is absent. They are opportunities to refine your heart, strengthen your faith, and deepen your reliance on God. Recognizing this allows you to remain expectant even when the breakthrough seems distant, knowing that favor works behind the scenes in ways you cannot yet see. Favor can change not only your circumstances, but also the trajectory of your life. It brings divine alignment, transforming ordinary moments into opportunities for greatness. When favor accompanies your efforts, your labor is multiplied, your decisions are guided, and your impact is magnified. What might take years through ordinary means can happen in moments under the influence of divine favor. This is why it is essential to seek favor daily, to remain aligned with God's purposes, and to speak life over your own journey. Favor is the force that ensures your faith, your persistence, and your readiness meet the perfect opportunities God has prepared, turning what once seemed impossible into a living testimony of His power and goodness. Alignment with God is the foundation for receiving His favor. It is not enough to desire blessings or to work hard on your own. Favor flows to those who intentionally position themselves according to His will. This alignment is spiritual, mental, and emotional. Spiritually, it requires faith and obedience, trusting God even when the path is unclear, and acting according to His word rather than your own understanding. Mental alignment demands that you focus your thoughts on what is true, noble, and faithful, refusing to dwell on fear, doubt, or past failures. Emotionally, it requires humility, patience, and surrender, acknowledging that God's timing and methods are perfect, even when they differ from your expectations. When all three aspects of your being are aligned with God, you create an atmosphere where favor can operate freely and the blessings of heaven begin to flow in ways that surpass human comprehension. Intentional alignment also means prioritizing God above everything else. When your desires, decisions, and actions reflect a commitment to His purposes, you invite His hand to move on your behalf. This is why alignment is not passive, it is active, conscious, and consistent. It involves making choices that honor God in your daily life, seeking His guidance in every decision, and resisting the distractions and temptations that pull you away from His path. Every step taken in alignment with God reinforces the flow of favor, while every step taken in opposition or neglect can create obstacles. Alignment requires vigilance and discipline, but the results are transformative, opening doors that no human effort alone could open. Trust is an essential component of alignment. Favor often comes in ways that are unexpected, unconventional, or even challenging to comprehend without trust. It is easy to resist or misinterpret the very blessings that are being prepared for you. Trust allows you to step forward in faith, knowing that God's plan is perfect, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. It also fosters resilience, helping you navigate setbacks and delays with confidence that favor is at work behind the scenes. Those who remain steadfast in trust, maintaining alignment with God through uncertainty and testing, position themselves to receive favor in abundance, often experiencing breakthroughs that others might never have imagined. Alignment with God is not just about receiving, it is also about reflecting His character. Integrity, humility, and compassion are markers of a heart position to receive favor. When you live in alignment, your actions honor God and bless others, creating a cycle where favor multiplies. The hand of God moves on those who are willing to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly, demonstrating that favor is not merely a reward, but also a reflection of spiritual maturity and readiness. In essence, alignment is a daily practice, a conscious decision to sync your heart, mind, and actions with God's purposes. Favor flows to those who position themselves intentionally, trust His timing, and reflect His character. It is through this alignment that the supernatural intersects with the natural, transforming ordinary circumstances into divine opportunities and ensuring that the promises of God manifest fully in your life. Faith without action is like a seed that never touches the soil. It has potential, but it cannot grow. To fully unlock God's favor and break every negative cycle, it is essential to move beyond prayer alone and step into empowered, faith-filled action. Every declaration, every word of faith, and every moment of intentional alignment with God must be accompanied by steps that reflect trust in His promises. Action is the bridge between what God has spoken and what manifests in your life. It is not merely busy work or human effort. It is purpose-driven, guided by the Spirit, and directed by divine wisdom. When you take action in faith, you are cooperating with God, demonstrating that you believe not only in His promises, but also in His timing and His ability to bring them to completion. The empowerment to act requires courage. Breaking negative cycles often means confronting old habits, facing fears, or stepping into unfamiliar territory. These steps may feel uncomfortable or even risky, but they are necessary to align your life with the favor that God has prepared. Courage is birthed in faith, knowing that God's presence accompanies you, His power sustains you, and His promises cannot fail. Every bold step, even when it seems small or insignificant, moves you closer to breakthrough. Hesitation and inaction allow old patterns to continue. Intentional, faithful steps disrupt those cycles and create new momentum. Action fueled by faith also involves persistence. Favor rarely manifests instantly, and breaking long-standing negative patterns takes time and consistency. There will be moments of challenge, moments when the old cycles attempt to reassert themselves, and moments when the breakthrough seems delayed. But persistence demonstrates that your faith is not superficial. It is active, determined, and unwavering. Each step, each act of obedience strengthens your spiritual muscles, builds resilience, and reinforces your readiness to receive God's blessings. The act of moving forward, even when progress is not immediately visible, sets the stage for exponential results that surpass what you could accomplish on your own. Empowered action is also about aligning your efforts with God's purpose. It is not action for the sake of action, nor is it relying solely on human effort. Every step you take must be guided by prayer, wisdom, and discernment. This alignment ensures that your actions are effective, efficient, and in harmony with the favor God is orchestrating on your behalf. When you move in faith and purpose, doors open, opportunities arise, and obstacles fall away in ways that could not be achieved through human effort alone. Ultimately, taking faith-filled action completes the cycle of transformation. Prayer initiates the shift. Declarations reinforce it. Alignment prepares you for it, and action activates it. By stepping forward boldly, trusting God's guidance, and persevering through challenges, you position yourself to break every negative cycle and fully receive the favor that has been waiting for you. Your breakthrough is not passive. It is earned through intentional, empowered, faith-driven steps that honor God, defy limitations, and usher in the life of victory, abundance, and divine favor that you were created to live.